final game in this review, Arizona beating number 25 Cincinnati 30-24. Let's go over the highest grade players real quick with the Arizona Wildcats. Chris Hudson, 78.5 grade at wide receiver. Chadwick, the running back, 74. Dalton Johnson, the safety, 73. Chris Hunter, the wide receiver, 72.5. Aiden Garnes, the corner, 71.8. Noah Fafita, the quarterback, 92.1. And then Cincinnati, their highest grade players in the loss, you got Jonathan Thompson, the linebacker, 77.5. DeAndre Buford, the tackle, 73.5. Jake Golday, the linebacker, 73. Dante Corleone, the D tackle, 71.9. And Micah Coleman, the edge rusher, 71.8. And then Brendan Sorsby with a 77.4 grade in the loss for Cincinnati. Dalton, what told the story in this game?
So the biggest concern we have had all season, going all the way back to our team previews in July about Cincinnati, was what can their receiving core give them in big spots? In big spots, they haven't been able to come through. In this game, Cincinnati, 58.6 receiving grade, their second lowest of the season. Their three losses include 3 of their 4 lowest receiving grades of the season. Brendan Sorsby wasn't great in this game, but there was some throws that, honestly, his receivers just didn't help him out much. 2 explosive passes accounted for 70 of their 152 passing yards. Cyrus Allen and Jeff Caldwell accounted for 126 of their 152 yards, and even they made their mistakes. Cincinnati's receiving core, only 46 total yards after catch, 0 for 4 on contested targets, 2 drops. Jeff Caldwell with an offensive pass interference that set him back on a potential game-winning drive, and then dropped a pass on the very next play. This is the problem to me with Cincinnati. They can run the ball with the best of them. Their offensive line is awesome. Sorsby has mostly played solid football all season. The defense is good enough. It has its flaws, especially with the way it's structured, and obviously structured with the lack of pass rush in there you're going to go over. But to me, at the end of the day, and this is going to be, they're playing BYU, last breath for Cincinnati this next week in a huge game against BYU. Can these guys separate consistently on the outside? You got nothing out of Joe Royer, the tight end, in this game. I think, again, that's in part because Arizona plays a good amount of man coverage like we talked about in the preview. But I think that's just the problem for me is what the undoing of this Cincinnati team. Are they slightly better than last year? Sure. But to me, it was their undoing last year, and it's continuing to be that this year. It's just the lack of any sort of consistent dynamic play from their receiving core. That's wide receivers and tight ends.
Yeah, I want to shout out the quarterbacks from a clean pocket in this one, and my most impressive all-in-one right here, Noah Fafita, because both quarterbacks had plenty of clean pockets to work from in this game. Brendan Sorsby had clean pockets 77% of the time. Noah Fafita had clean pockets 78% of the time in this one. The difference was Noah Fafita was phenomenal from those clean pockets, while Sorsby wasn't as good. Fafita, 93.1 passing grade when kept clean, 5 big-time throws, 0 turnover-worthy plays. He had 268 yards, 1 touchdown, and no picks from a clean pocket, and an 82% adjusted completion rate. Brendan Sorsby, meanwhile, 67.8 passing grade from a clean pocket, 2 big-time throws, 1 turnover-worthy play, only 109 passing yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 pick from a clean pocket, and only a 64% adjusted completion rate when kept clean. As said in the preview, Noah Fafita has been one of the best quarterbacks in the Big 12 this year, and 2 areas where he thrives are from a clean pocket and against zone coverage. And considering Cincinnati's pass rush has been horrendous this year, and they play zone coverage at a very, very high rate, it's why I picked Arizona to upset Cincinnati in this game, because I thought this would be a great matchup for Fafita and that passing game for Arizona, and it absolutely was, and Fafita was phenomenal in this win over Cincinnati.
It's the danger of this 3-3 stack defense where you're so often sending a 3-man pass rush and dropping 8, is that, honestly, you almost don't even get to find out if you have good pass rushers because you're not sending any, right? And that's the real issue. And Fafita, look, he struggled in a game earlier this year against the same defense in Iowa State, threw a couple interceptions. He was letting it rip in this game. An average depth of target over 11 yards. And look, that is the 5th time this year he's had an average depth of target over. He's letting it rip this year. I mean, no question. 5 big-time throws, 3 of them coming off of play action. Fafita was outstanding. He was the best player on the field in this game. Chris Hudson also commendable on the outside with his work at wide receiver. I mean, you just look at this team, and you're right. To me, it's the number one problem with this defense that I see. It happened last year, too. Remember when Cincinnati played Colorado and they had to play Shedeur Sanders, and it was just like the way structurally you can't touch him.
Yeah.
You're in these three-man fronts. I mean, you're giving him all day in the world to throw. That is the big weakness to me of this defense, is the fact that, and you would think with 3 down, it's, are you going to get run all over? No, not necessarily. They're good run stoppers in there. That's why those front 3 are who they are. You have the Godfather up front, obviously, at nose tackle, but at the end of the day, if you give good quarterbacks this much time in the pocket, they're going to kill you. That's exactly what Fafita did.
Who do you want to shout out in your most impressive in this win for Arizona?
Well, Max, I don't get to do it too often unless I'm covering the Buffalo Bills. I got to shout out a Dalton.
I saw you threw that in there. Yeah.
I mean, I had to do it.
That's nepotism right there.
I mean, is that what it is?
Yeah, first name nepotism.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was a thing. That's a thing now. Okay, so I mean, I guess you'll have to find every max that you can in these future games. But 8 tackles, 4 stops, and an unbelievable interception in the second half of this game.
Yeah. Pass
breakup on the first play of the game that set up the Javion Cole interception. 69 run defense grade against a really good running team in the Bearcats. 72.8 coverage grade. Dalton Johnson, the free safety, was all over the field, even playing down in the box and in the flats as he did on the first play of the game, making that pass breakup and really setting a tone. That's what it was to me, is Dalton Johnson set a tone in this game from the very first play. Got to give him and that entire secondary credit for as much as, I'm getting on Cincinnati's receiving core here. Arizona won that battle on the back end, too.
Absolutely. So, Arizona getting a huge win over Cincinnati. Cincinnati now 5-2 in Big 12 play. Big game next week against BYU, but it's starting to look improbable for Cincinnati to make the Big 12 title.
If they win that game, then tiebreakers get wild because they'll have beaten BYU. And BYU's beaten Utah, and Utah's beaten Cincinnati, and it's a whole. Utah would have beaten Cincinnati, and it's a whole big thing with all the. And Houston is still a factor. That's a team we still have to contend. Very quietly, Arizona State is still a factor in this with only 2 conference losses somehow, some way without Sam Levitt. So, if BYU does beat Cincinnati, the road is clear, and all they got to do from there is beat UCF, and we're going to get Texas Tech and BYU again. If Cincinnati wins that game. Boy, we got the same madness we had last year with 4-way ties and all.
And I don't know how the tiebreakers would go in that scenario. So, they got to beat BYU, obviously. But even if that happens, they could still be in trouble with all the tiebreakers they have with BYU, Utah, Houston, Arizona State. All of them are still tied with that record then, if that happens. So, it's still very chaotic in the Big 12. So, Cincinnati is still in it. But this is a huge, huge blow to Cincinnati. And, if they won this game against Arizona, they would have headed into that game against BYU. Basically, whoever wins that game is going to play Texas Tech in the Big 12 title game. Now, Cincinnati has to beat BYU and maybe receive some help in order to make it to the Big 12 title game. But a huge win for Arizona nonetheless, who now moves on to 7-3 on the year.